Students, welcome to our fifth lecture in this series, The Doctor's Dilemma, a Tragedy by George Bernard Shaw. And as I said, this is the fifth part. This is the fifth video lecture, a discussion that you could say. So let's get started right away. Introduction here. So this tells you what we would be discussing in this lecture. We will be discussing. We will be looking at performance and publication, the source, just a moment, performance and publication, the source, key takeaways, critical reviews, important questions. So here it is. These are the pictures I have compiled, and the performance was in a theater on this is a date here, 20th November 1906. This is Royal Court Theatre in London. So this is a picture from the outside picture of the theatre, and this is the inside of the theatre. Okay, and that is the date. Publication, if we see, so this is the original one, the picture I could find on the internet. In 1911 it was published. It was performed in 1906, but publication came much later. And these are the various cover pages of the other publications. Every time it was published, it came out with different name and different cover page. This is from Penguin. These are also from different known publishers. Okay? The source. Now we talk about the source. Who was the source? So here I have written Sir Almroth Wright. Now this was a very known personality in the times when George Bernard Shaw was inspired to write The Doctor's Dilemma. And his inspiration was this one person, Sir Almroth Wright. Let's look who he was. Nickname, his nickname was Sir Almost Right. Now see, there is a humor there. That was his nickname, Almost Right. He was a bacteriologist, a celebrated and fashionable person who's moving in the society, very well-known physician, bacteriologist who studied bacteria, knighted shortly before The Doctor's Dilemma was written. So another point is that he received his title Sir. He was given that special honor just a little while before this play was written by Shaw, and it is said that G.B. Shaw credits Almroth Wright as his source of his information on medical science. So G.B. Shaw himself has admitted that, my inspiration for writing The Doctor's Dilemma was this particular physician, Sir Almroth Wright. There was a conversation they had in which G.B. Shaw asked this physician that what happens when there are scarce medical resources, and he got a similar answer that how they decide who is to be saved if there are scarce medical resources and there are plenty of patients. So here is a statement: it will be evident to all experts that my play could not have been written but for the work done by Sir Almroth Wright on the theory and practice of securing immunization from bacterial diseases by the inoculation of vaccines made of their own bacteria. Now, there is an irony in this entire statement. So, that was who G.B. Shaw was. Even in his normal communication, everyday life, when he talked, there was plenty of humor in it, plenty of ironical statements. That was the language he spoke, and that's why that was the power of the language that he used in his writing. Now, this is a picture of the bacteriologist, Sir Almroth Wright. I've taken this picture from internet, wherein this is his caricature, and it is written Almroth and the bacteria. Okay, so this is him, and here I was talking about in the previous slide that if a doctor is faced with a dilemma due to scarce medical resources and he has to save a handful of people from amongst a lot of patients, how does he make that choice? So the answer Sir Amroth Wright gave to G.B. Shaw was, we should have to consider which life was worth saving. So here he tells that, it's a decision the doctors take, that of all the patients, if you can only save few of them, who would you be saving and why you would be saving them? So that is quite a chilly thought, that how does a doctor decide who to save and who not to save? And this is something which was real, something that Almroth Wright spoke when G.B. Shaw had a conversation with him. Here I have taken this picture from the internet. Now here it says Sir Almroth Wright's case against woman suffrage by G.B. Shaw, answered by. This is just something to show you the connection between two men, Sir Almroth Wright and Bernard Shaw, and that as contemporary, how they interacted. Both of them were Irish, and it is said that they were friends. However, G.B. Shaw did not agree with everything that Sir Almroth Wright believed in or did. They had difference of opinion. So in this cover page, what is happening? Sir Almroth Wright was against the suffrage, women's suffrage, the voting rights to women, etc., etc., because he had a certain belief system. He did not think women could match up to men in terms of brain, thinking, capability, etc., etc. So he wrote about it, and in an answer to what he wrote about it, G.B. Shaw wrote his answer. His answer, that is what here it says, Sir Almroth Wright's case against women's suffrage, answered by Bernard Shaw. Okay, so that's one connection I could find between both men. I was looking for a picture of both of them together in one frame, but I could not find it. But this is one link I could find between both of them. Next, I have taken up this picture here. I wanted you all to have a look. What was the condition of medicines and the medical profession in the times when G.B. Shaw was growing up, or when he was writing this play, The Doctor's Dilemma? What was the opinion about it? So here I have taken a picture of a medical man. He is a quack, a traveling quack. Now here in this picture you see he is in a cart, in a vehicle. This has a wheel here, a bit of wheel we can see. He's getting down from the stairs here. And in his vehicle, in his cart, you can see here, there is a skeleton drawing here. There is a skull drawing here. Along with it, there are some liquids here. They look like little jars with some medicine in it. And here also you see some jars and medicines in it. And this man, he is calling out. See, he's calling out. His hand, he's holding something in his hand. and he's calling out and saying something. Probably he's trying to, uh, he's trying to, he, he's calling for the customers. He's selling his medicines. There's also a bucket here. There's also a bucket here. So he is a traveling person. He travels from place to place selling all these things. And he's a quack. When I say quack, what we mean? A person who's not trained, who's not an expert in giving medicines because he does not have all the knowledge of he doesn't have scientific basis of the knowledge about the human body and how he should give prescription. Yet he pretends that he is as good as a doctor in curing any kind of disease or ailment. So that is who a quack is. And he gives medicines, he's not responsible for it. He says his words are not reliable. But people still do believe. It's up to them. There is so much of advertisement, and the medical facilities in those times were such that there was no regulation. There was nothing of that sort. So people may have wanted to believe these marketing things and go ahead with hit and trial. It might cure, it might not cure. And this is a picture from 1889. The traveling quack who's selling patented medicines, and you could call him also a pharmacist. He's having a stock of medicine, and he was a nightmare because there is no regulation. You don't know what happens with the medicine that I take. What if it works? Very good. If it works, excellent. But what if it does not work? Uh, there is no way to address the issue, the complication that arise in case the medicine does not work. So that is the traveling quack for you from this time. Now let's have a look at the critical reviews about the play. So one is by Michael Holroyd. I found an article in The Guardian, so I took that. I like this line. It is very interesting and it is very relevant. Shaw subtitled his play a tragedy, but in fact, it's a brilliant satire on the pre-NHS medical profession. NHS, well, National Health Service, which is there in Britain, England, and there you have a public system. The government takes care of the health related issues of its citizens, wherein they can get themselves treated without paying any money, and that is what National Health Services is. So before National Health Services came into existence, this play talks about the situation. It's a joke. It's showing the mirror to the society about how doctors operate, how the situation was, how the citizens suffered, the poor suffered at the hands of such a situation. Okay, so that is what Michael Holroyd talks about in an article in The Guardian. Next, we have Penelope J. Corfield. She's also a known reviewist and critical expert. And here she says, it's a witty script, yet there's no denying that there are problems with the play as a theatrical experience. So her opinion is that it is a funny play because even in the midst of, or even having a topic that is so serious, a mix of seriousness and humor, yet this play has its own problem. This is what, as a critic, she has observed. And what are the problems that she's talking about? As when you're sitting in a theater and the play is being performed on stage, she says there is too much of theoretical talk. There is so much of talk when an audience is sitting, they keep listening, listening. It may get boring, it may get monotonous. Something that can be shown with actions. Instead of that, there are lengthy discussions, and in those discussions, there are plenty of medical terminologies used. Maybe for a common man, it may be a struggle to understand that. So that is what she says, that those are the problems that she thinks are there, even though she praises the script as it is a witty one, and wit is something G.B. Shaw has a command on. Next point I want to make here is privatized medicine and resource allocation remains surprisingly relevant even today. So this says that private medicine, जो private medicine होती है और रिसोर्स एलोकेशन मतलब अगर हमारे पास दवाइयाँ कम हैं, पेशेंट्स ज़्यादा हैं, how do we allocate that? That's just a small example. So this is something that was there in those times when G.B. Shaw wrote it, early 20th century. But this is something which is so relevant even today, more than 100 years later, after the performance and the publication of the play. That thing is still relevant today. The recent example was when there was coronavirus, the COVID phase, when patients were so many, but the medical resources were limited. There were limited beds, there were limited doctors to attend to, but the patients were pouring out. You know, there was a surge. It's like waves of them, and there was nothing anyone could do. So, and there also one had to think not just beds, but how do you allocate the medicines? How do you choose? The dilemma existed even there. And not just government hospital, but even private hospitals. So those are the 3 points I thought I must highlight here in critical review. One is a plus, one is a not so plus, an area of improvement, and the third is something which is relevant for today as well. What are the key takeaways? Now, when I say key takeaways, what I mean is that what can a student learn, or somebody who's reading a play, what are the points that they learn? The first basic and biggest one is ethics and morality. Now, ethics and morality as to how do we handle a crisis in which a person out of fear may have a fight or flight response. How does a person react in that? Do you succumb to the bad wolf inside you, or do you listen to the good wolf inside you? What do you do? Ethics and morality. Now here the sub point is objective and subjective. Objective is something that yes, there is one rule that we teach children. We talk about, we preach, our religion teaches us, our society teaches us. Everywhere, the thing that one should do, what is needed to be done, that is an objective approach to morality and ethics. However, the subjective part is equally important because it's a reality one cannot escape. When I say subjective, what I mean, each person is different. Their personalities are different. Their way of thinking is different, and they would act differently. They would think differently. Their belief systems are different. For example, here we have doctors who are so diverse. They are from the older generation, they are from the newer generation, and their way of approaching a patient is different. And there are moments in the play wherein they discuss, they express their views, which are so subjective according to each person. There is one doctor who wants to perform a surgery to remove a particular organ from the body because he believes that it is this organ that is causing all the problem. However, there is another doctor who is who takes it in a very not unemotional, you can say, without any emotion. He performs his medical, he does the work of his medical profession. And there is one who says that, all these treatments that are coming up now for various disease and all, they always existed. As in his father used to tell him, it is just that they have been given a new touch, the new outer look, but these treatments always existed. So that was about subjective approach to ethics and morality. The next point one can take away from this place, health is wealth. That your health is your biggest treasure. It is your biggest wealth. You don't have to have money or a big car or a big house or fancy clothes. If you're healthy from head to toe, body, mind, and soul, then then I think you're the wealthiest person. Here the sub-points I have written is avoid medical solutions. So where it is possible, one must avoid going uh, and taking up proper medicines, proper as in allopathic medicines, you could say, chemicals or anything going into your body. As much as possible, one must attempt the natural remedy. Next is avoid surgery. Surgeries should only be done if it is an extreme case wherein surgery will give you some kind of value addition. It would be constructive, it would be productive. Only in that case surgeries are to be considered. And the last point is taking multiple opinions. So if there is any ailment you have, then you need to take more than one opinion. Why? Because here we discussed about the subjective part, that everyone is different. The doctors will have different opinion. There may be a doctor who will tell you that yes, surgery is important. There may be a doctor who tells you that without surgery also he gives you his opinion. So uh, one must take multiple opinions before deciding for oneself. So those are the key takeaways. Next, we come to important questions that may arise from this play. The first one is, how does Shaw's play reflect the tension between science, ethics, and art in the early 20th century? So, this is a very good question that compresses the entire play with its context. And this is important. Again, I've already written these are important questions. So that is one question. Next, we have plays Doctor's Dilemma within modernist drama. How does it differ from traditional tragedy? Here, the literary structure or the form of tragedy has been taken, and the movement, the modernist movement has also been taken, and that's how you have to place the play, the Doctor's Dilemma, within these two elements, the movement or the time of modernism, as well as how is it different from the traditional tragedy. Next, we have analyzed Region's dilemma as central to the play's theme. Now, this is also very important. The central character, Dr. Coulson Region or Sir Coulson Region, and the dilemma he is facing. How is it a central point? How the play progresses because of this dilemma is what this question is about. Next, we have next question is Dubedat a genius or a scoundrel? Discuss with examples. Now, this is a little detail. It is focused on the character Louis Dubedat, who is an artist, and he is a genius, and uh, there are a lot of dark shades, the gray shades that he shows. So, in this question, you have to discuss all this with examples. Next, we have, how does Shaw use satire to expose flaws in the medical profession? So this is again the use of satire. This is here the author also has been included in the question, that how is he using satire and in order to expose flaws. Flaws means किसी भी चीज का drawback, negative points. किसका drawback है ये? Medical profession. Flaws of medical profession. Next question, we have discussed Shaw's Fabian socialist ideals and their influence on Doctor's Dilemma. So here again the emphasis is on author and how the author, what made the author write. Again, this is about the author's background, the context, and what inspired him, the source. How did he get influenced to write Doctor's Dilemma? And last, I have taken this question. How does Shaw critique Edwardian society through satire in the play? So, Edwardian society, that is the king who was ruling during this time. How does Shaw shows that society through this play, again the satire term has been used because this is a satire on the medical profession. So with that, we come to the end of our lecture. And in case you have any doubts or requests, you may post it. These are the two pictures. This is GB Shaw. He has a questioning look. This is, I put this picture here just to tell you in case you have a doubt. And here he's smiling, as in, in case you have a doubt. Here he's doubting. You can post it. You can post that if you want answers to these questions, you want a discussion on that, or you have any other query or any other request, you're most welcome to post it. So I hope you had some learning. This video was useful for you. It was light with some interesting pictures and interesting facts. And just to make this interesting, because there is a lot of theoretical discussion about the play, with that, we come to the end of our lecture. And as I always leave you with, uh, before I leave, I always tell you, I'd again say that happy learning to you all.